There we are, Hydro versus Vash on Altazim Stronghold. Wish I had map intros like they do over at Base Trade TV. Any of you who might be here from Chobo Team League circles rather than from Base Trade TV, head on over there sometime. Twitch.tv/Base Trade TV. They're awesome. The best community casters of pro games I have ever seen. Anyway, we'll head into the game as soon as it loads. Have a good night, and I look forward to seeing you in preps playing against JR Bessie. It's pretty awesome. So, spawning in the upper left here is our yellow Protoss. We have for Team Composite Vash. And spawning in the lower left, playing for Team Unrivaled Gaming, we have a Hydro as our blue Terran. So far our match in the Chobo Team League between Team Composite and Team Unrivaled Gaming is 3-2 in the favor of Unrivaled. Very, very close, well-fought matches so far. We'll see how this Gold League match shapes up. Vash sending out that early probe scout to try to figure out where Hydro is. Always a good idea on a big map like Altazim. Hydro building a wall off. You almost always see a wall off on Altazim, even in say TVP, because it's so easy to wall this ramp. It walls off 2 bases for you, and it denies scouting information pretty often due to the large distances on this map. It's almost always worth your time to build a wall off on this one. And so we see that probe having been sent in the wrong direction. It's going to go around and very shortly confirm where the Terran base is by process of elimination. In the meantime, the first barracks and the first gateway are just about done. Gateway first for Vash, so we'll see what tech choices he chooses after that. Looks like it's going to be a gateway expand. Yep, he's got the minerals for it, just hasn't quite started it. And there's our Nexus. Vash choosing to go for an early Hydro, I'm sorry, mixing up my player names, going for an early Reaper rather than expanding immediately though. And Vash is going to send the probe over towards Hydro's base, now knowing where it is. Not going to be able to get in with that full wall off, but at the very least confirm that the base actually is there. Well, actually he might be able to get in if he gets just the right timing. Not quite. So he's not going to be able to get into the base. And that Reaper, although it did see the probe, just kind of bypasses it. In fact, heading over here, which is the wrong direction, which is kind of nice for Vash, as it allows him to get out a mothership core or something to defend with, as he literally has nothing to defend with at this point. So, chrono boosting out a Zealot. At least has something to defend with, although Zealots don't do that well against Reapers. They just aren't fast enough to catch them at all. He's going to need a Stalker, a Mothership Core to deal with the Reaper, and there comes a Stalker. I think he actually canceled the Zealot. Yeah, no, the Zealot did finish. He has one Zealot, and now he's going to have a Stalker pretty quick. In the meantime, that Reaper has discovered that Vash is not in either the lower right or the upper right location and is heading over to the correct base. No probes going down to that second base yet, so no real probe snipe possibilities down there. which matters a lot when a Reaper is about to attack, and it is. There's nothing blocking the Reaper from running right into the base, so it does. Reaper does get a nice scout at the least, but this Stalker is going to chase it away. So that Reaper is going to start to take down the first probes at that second base for Vash. Probe being microed out of the way, and 2 Stalkers now more than enough to chase this Reaper back out before it gets a single probe kill. It gets about half the health on one of the probes, but that's all the damage it does, and well, that isn't very much. In the meantime, we have a few more 8-ways and warp gate tech coming down for Vash, having hidden this probe up here. Probably going to use that to make a warp-in pylon pretty soon. Twilight Council on the way for Vash. In the meantime, we have the first starport on the way for our Terran player, going a pretty typical build order, now up to 3 racks, as well as a starport on the way. The factory having been completed, making the reactor probably for the starport. And Stim just starting up for our Terran player as well. Hydro also has gotten his second base up as well. Vash's second base timing was a little bit faster, and so he has a little bit better economy running right now, 38 probes to 34 SCVs, but that actually puts Hydro at a mildly better economy considering the mules. In fact, it's probably pretty much exactly equal for economy, with a mild army supply lead for Hydro at this point. Neither player is seeming to go for any early aggression. This probe is seen by the factory overlord out here, though. At least I believe it is. Let's check that vision and make sure. Well, I was a little too late in switching my vision, but I think it actually saw that probe. Don't know if Hydro was actually looking, though. Looks like he might have. He's actually moving out with some troops. No, he probably didn't see the probe as he moves out with troops and ignores that probe's location, sending up a drop force one way and another few troops to probably knock on the front door. This drop could do some work, though, as there's only 1 Stalker here to defend. Mothership core out by the other base, so you'd have to run down the other way. Actually, way over here, so looks like this drop is going to be pretty successful. There's just nothing to defend against it other than 1 Stalker. Stalker's already done. That's not enough. Probes are pulled. A few probes go down. Base might actually get sniped. Yeah, 5 probes killed for Hydro here with this little attack. Main army coming down, but I'm not sure he even has enough to defend against just this drop. Most of the drop is picked up into the medevac and flies off as the army arrives. 1 lone Marine being left here, and apparently not noticed by Vash. He's letting this 1 Marine continue to fire away at the probes. Warps in a Zealot to take care of that 1 Marine. No, the Zealot just goes over here. In fact, the drop's coming back in, having picked up a lot of the troops that were at the front door, which didn't have much success. This is looking pretty dire for Vash here, not being able to use the second base at all. In the meantime, Hydro taking his third base by... Our Terran player has taken a pretty commanding lead with some good drop play. Those 3 Marines overstimmed and looking like they aren't going to get that much done, but they are going to get a pylon. Better than nothing. All going to go down to these Zealots, but those forces from that drop are still here in those medevacs, so things looking pretty good for Hydro right now. Continuing to build more and more troops behind this. 4 more racks on the way. An engineering bay. Well, second engineering bay to go with the first that's already researching +1 armor. Combat shields on the way for those Marines. In the meantime, however, the Templar Archives has been finished, and Psystorm is on the way for our Protoss players. So, looks like like he's going to go completely from gateways rather than using a Robo, using Templars for his AoE, which makes perfect sense. So, another drop coming down here for Hydro. Still no Photon Overcharge. See, what really surprises me is that we haven't seen a Photon Overcharge. I mean, did the Mothership Core get sniped somewhere and I didn't notice? I think it must have. Because there's no Mothership Core here to try to fight this. The army comes down and actually does manage to clean up most of this drop, but yet more probes get killed, though. Now up to 12 workers killed for Hydro. He did finally lose almost all of that drop force, though, maintaining 1 medevac, 2 Marines, and 1 Marauder total. But he's got quite a mass of forces down here by his newly acquired third base, and Vash, after that drop is done, is now taking a third base of his own, moving his army out onto the map, those first Templar having joined up and Storm having been completed. 5 more Templar being warped in. A few of them being warped into Archons. So it looks like Vash is starting to get a pretty significantly better army than he used to have. But our Terran player is moving out. He's pretty spread out, though, which is actually good considering Templar is what he's facing. Starting to group up as they get closer to the fight, though. Getting a ton of Zealots for pretty much free, nothing but medevac energy. There's that first Storm, really good Storm. Gets a number of kills from that Storm and wastes a lot of medevac energy healing up these Marines and Marauders. Take the time to wait and heal up after that. But that was one heck of a Storm for Vash. Definitely what saved his now just finished third base. But he doesn't seem to have anything in position to defend the third base, and those Terrans are moving forward again. Hydro's troops stimming again to take down this Nexus, and they're going to get it. There's nothing that he can do to stop that. Might be able to take down a lot of the troops in exchange, but oh, he actually stops target firing the Nexus, starts taking the fight. Maybe he thinks he can take the fight. Storm's missing, actually hitting more Zealots than Marines. Looks like Hydro's going to be able to take this fight, and with it, this Nexus. Tries to warp in an Archon right on top of them, but rather than moving forward at the Nexus, he's hanging back, though. Almost one medevac per Marine these days. That's quite a bit of healing he has going there. But waiting for his trooper reinforcements, including some Ghosts now, is our Terran player. Now, the upgrade is a little bit of an advantage for our Protoss player, 2-2 versus 2-1 for the Terran, but yeah, hallucinating some Colossi, that's actually a pretty good move. Otherwise, those Terrans would know that they absolutely had that. With those hallucinated Colossi, he thinks that he's got 3 more Colossi, and he doesn't have any. He doesn't even have a Robo, in fact. That was actually a pretty clutch hallucination there. And that clutch hallucination sent Hydro all the way back to his base, although he is now taking a 4th base behind this and just continuing to expand on his pretty commanding lead at this point. Getting personal cloaking for those Ghosts as more Ghosts are being added into the composition, as well as more Marines. Morphing the new base into a planetary fortress. Warp Prism on the way there for Vash. Might be seeing some Storm drops come down pretty soon, as he has now taken a Robo. Still no Robotics Bay to actually make real Colossi, though. But I gotta say, Vash, that was a pretty great move, hallucinating those Colossi. That worked out well. In the meantime, we have a few Zealots moving forward as more of a scout than anything. Looks like they are going to get a Ghost at the front lines. No, they don't quite, the healing being more than their DPS can handle. But in the meantime, we got that Warp Prism hanging out here. It's in a pretty good place. There's also a Warp-in Pylon for Vash forward, so In fact, it looks like it might be a pretty good time for him to warp in, as Hydra is starting to move pretty much his entire army across the map, having repaired all those medevacs and added a ton of ghosts into his combat. That is a lot of ghosts. A lot of ghosts. I don't think I've ever seen a Terran player with that many ghosts on the field. Those ghosts are going to be pretty clutch as this comes down. Even having added on a few Vikings to face those non-existent Colossi. That Warp Prism's still just kind of hanging out. Oh, 2 Dark Templars have now been warped in. Like we're going to see the DTs, see what they can get done. No missile turrets here, so he's going to have to depend on scans. And I don't know what all these SCVs are doing. You got like 10 SCVs just hanging around, Hydra. What's going on? Anyway, so that third Nexus is sniped by this Terran force as those DTs start heading in and taking down worker after worker. The workers are now pulled. He's now at least knows what's going on, but I don't know if he has anything to defend against it. In the meantime, that warp prism has also been used for a small warp in up here, taking down on one of these barracks. In the meantime, he's continuing to attack in the front, and that attack is looking to be pretty successful. There's just insane amount of ghosts and medevacs, and even having landed the Vikings, more and more ghosts being rallied across the field. That Dark Templar is still doing work on this base over here as another round of warp-ins. Looks like he's trying for a base trade here, but well, we'll see who that works out better for. Looks like he's going to be able to take down a lot of SCVs. Ton of carnage on this side of the map, whereas on this side of the map, most everything being taken out by this Terran force. So we got a full-on base trade going on, fellas. Looks like this orbital is going to go down to this 1 Dark Templar. In the meantime, it looks like a group of troops finished up back home for Hydra. Going to clean up a lot of these zealots, but a lot of damage was done. But it's looking a lot better for Hydra than it is for Vash. Vash having lost his original main nexus, lost all of his gateways. He can't even warp in anything anymore because he's lost all of his gateways. And with these extra bases out here for Hydro, he cannot win this base race. He's starting to work on the production. He has taken down those few troops, other than this one Marauder that's kind of just being scared over in the corner. More Marines finish up, and almost the entire base is down for Vash at this point. Now Hydro is severely supply blocked, so he's not going to finish any more troops in a while. Most of his supply depots going down to this continued attack. That orbital was taken down, and more supply depots going down for him. So he's not going to get any more new troops either. But other than this one new nexus over there, Vash just doesn't have anything. He's down to 33 supply, as compared to the, well, now rapidly falling supply of Hydro, as there's 1 Dark Templar doing work on this orbital now. Hydro completely focused on his attack and not worrying about his defense back here, and he's going to lose another orbital command for it, and maybe most of his production if he doesn't watch out soon. Not that he could produce anything, as his supply stands at 107 over 55. So we might see neither player really being able to make anything. He still does have 2 gateways over here, but those are going to fall to these last few troops. And Hydro's just out trying to find where those bases. He finds these 2 pylons, but he knows there has to be a nexus because he hasn't been revealed yet. Going to lose another orbital over there, continuing to lose all these barracks that he can't even make anything out of because he's so heavily supply blocked. Another emergency nexus being made and cancelled by Vash, as Hydro's little force not quite attacking those 2 remaining gateways, but I'm sure they will soon. And really, this game is over. But Vash doesn't know that. He doesn't know that there's a fully up and running base over here. It's even a planetary with missile turrets, so the Dark Templars aren't going to be a problem. Just this base can defend itself. Vash knows doesn't know that. Hydro knows he's won. He's just trying. He did actually track down that nexus up in the north. There's another emergency nexus being warped in here. He didn't get the probes. so they can use what little money they have left. Well, actually, he's out of money unless he cancels this Nexus. He actually doesn't have any money for another Nexus. In the meantime, a group of probes coming down here, but he just doesn't have any money for anything else. He's finally out of money for more additional Nexi. The Zealot trying to chase down these SCVs, but coming over to this planetary. Most of the barracks seem to have escaped and joined up with what seems to be Hydro's new main base. Dark Templar is going to make his original natural head over that way as well, taking down this refinery. Vash is sending his troops back homeward bound, perhaps to try to kill those last few troops of Vash. Maybe he actually spotted these probes down here. That might be what's going on. I think he did spot these probes. There's still a Nexus that actually did finish up for Vash, so he could technically start rebuilding something, but there's no way he can win. He doesn't know that. He doesn't know how poorly he did with that base trade. But well, actually, now he does. He's got this single Zealot in here working away at this starport, but it's not going to do anything. Warps in one more Dark Templar, having gained some supply, but he GG's out. That game was over quite a time ago, and now apparently everybody